Okay, this is the Spreadsheets Performance Objective video. These are the things that the state requires that you're able to demonstrate by the end of this section of the standard. So let me walk you through how to do some of these things just in case you're not sure. And this will actually be, there'll be a copy of this set of standards right here for you in your workbook so you can just follow along. I'm starting with a simple workbook. And the first requirement is to have 2 or more sheets. We can very easily add another sheet, right? Clicking down here to create our second sheet. The requirement is to rename and format our tabs. So let's rename these. I right click. I'm going to go to rename. We'll call this the GPA sheet because I've created some fake student data with some GPAs. And then on this sheet, let's just call it like calculations. We'll call it calcs because we're going to do some simple calculations. I need to format the tabs, so I'm right-clicking. Let's change my tab color. We'll make that one green. And on calculations, our tab color, we'll make that, there we go. So click off. Okay, that's the first requirement. Now, the next thing is a formatted table with data that you can collect, or in my case, I created it. I'll never know the difference if you collect it or you create it, so don't make any more work for yourself than you have to. Next, we're going to be creating a cell reference from one sheet to another. So let's go to the Calculation tab. And in cell A1, I'm going to put a reference to our GPA sheet. It's really pretty easy to do. I just have to hit the equals key, go over to my GPA page, and let's say I want to put Shelby's first quarter in there. The reference it's telling me is going to be to the GPA page, and it's going to be cell B3. When I hit enter, there is our reference. So if you'd also maybe leave me a notation of which formulas you're doing, it makes it easier for me to correct, and the better mood your teacher's in when they correct, the easier the scoring is. So that works with pretty much all teachers. So okay, now we have to create a couple of simple formulas and use a couple of functions. We're going to be using the max, the min, and the count functions. So let's start at the last one here. We're going to use the count function. So I'm going to just select A7. And if I come over here to my auto sum, I have some things I can use. If I try to use a count numbers here, count numbers will only count any of those cells that have an actual number in them. So I'm going to go to more functions. And it gives me some options here. So just start typing count. And here's one of my options, count A. It will count the number of cells in a range that are not empty. So this will work for our text. If I click OK, it asks me what is your range, and so I'm going to select the students we have here. I click OK, and we're good to go. So I'm going to just label this. There's my count. Next up, I want to use the max and the min. So let's go to my auto sum in the editing group. Let's just find the maximum. My maximum first quarter GPA will appear here. So type max to label that for me. Let's find out what the minimum was. I have a bad feeling about this Jeff character. Let's use our min function. Let's do some pretty good guessing, trying to figure out where we want to be. So we just do the minimum here. Okay. 2 other things we could do here. We could do an average, if we're going to do that as a formula, or we could just do a total. Let's do a total first, then we'll do an average. So I'm going to just call this a total. And this is going to be just a simple formula. I do an equal sign, I take, click on D3, hit the plus key, D4 the plus key, D5 the plus key, D6 the plus key. Nope, I don't need the plus key there. Hit enter, so it's a nonsensical number, but that's okay. Let's do an average over here. So I'm going to label this the average. So the average is going to be all of Jeff's GPAs divided by the number 4. So this is going to be equal to, and let's do the parentheses first. So put a parenthesis in here. I'm going to put first quarter plus second quarter plus third quarter plus fourth quarter. Put a parenthesis in there. And then I have to divide by 4 because we had the 4 quarters. And Jeff finished the year with a 2.15 GPA average. Next up, we are going to look at some print options. We want to show our grid lines and our row and column headings when we print. So that is in our sheet options. It's the print and the headings. And then scaling not equal to 100%. That's easy enough to do. We can double check this going into our print preview. Here we go. There's our grid line showing up on our headings. And we are not currently at 100%. So it's a custom scaling option. So when you save the file, that's how it'll come over to me. The last thing we want to do, oh, excuse me, we missed one. We need to format a table. This is really easy to do. I'm just going to grab my data. If I can grab my data. Grab all my data. Let's go to the Insert tab. Let's insert a table. It asks you what is the data for your table and does it have headers. So there's my data. It's already been pre-selected. And I can just select a table that I think looks kind of nice. And we're done. So we formatted that table. Now we can start looking at the last thing here. We need to create 4 charts. We're going to create a pie chart, a bar chart, a column, and a line chart. So let's do a pie chart first. I'm just going to select the data here for Shelby through Jeff, all on first quarter. I'm going to insert a chart. In this case, I'm just going to do a pie chart, show you what the proportion was. Doesn't really make sense because it's not proportional, but as long as you understand that, we're going to call this quarter 1, and let's play with some formatting. Make it look a little bit different. We can add an element. Let's add, I don't need a title, I wanted to add a legend. Maybe put that at the left. Scrunch that up a little bit. So there's our first one, a pie chart. A bar chart. Let's do a bar chart showing everybody's GPAs for the year. Insert. Go to our tables. Excuse me, that's a column. I don't want a column chart. I want a bar chart. So find a bar chart here. Place this in. You can see I'm just going to go through and change some of our, let's call this the GPA for the year. Change my formatting. Let's find a different format maybe we like. That one's okay. Puts our information here. There's my second chart. You're going to go through and you're going to create your charts for all the 4 different types. Save this sheet, and this is what you'll be sending to be corrected. The last standard it told us we had to do was to create a macro, but based on what I told you with sending macros and opening macros, we don't want to do that. I'm not going to make you send me a macro because I'm frankly not going to open a sheet that has a macro enabled. So that is it for the performance objective.